I love carrot cake, all those warm spices, that dense, moist texture, and of course, decadent cream cheese frosting. I want to serve it for Thanksgiving, but with all the other dishes to prepare, I'd be hard-pressed to do it well. So today, I'm making my best carrot cake and freezing it for the big day. You can too. Let me show you how. We'll start with the dry ingredients. I have 2½ cups of all-purpose flour. I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and a ½ teaspoon of salt. And we're going to whisk this so we have no lumps. Now we take our spices, and I have 1½ teaspoons of ground cinnamon, 1 teaspoon ground ginger, ½ teaspoon of ground nutmeg, and a 1/4 teaspoon of allspice. Now we go ahead and whisk this all together, and we can set this aside. Now we combine the wet. I have 1½ cups of brown, light, and dark brown sugar. I like to break that up when I put it in there because I don't want a lot of lumps. ½ cup of granulated sugar. I have 1 cup canola oil. And this recipe is an adaptation of Sally's Baking Addiction. I like to use hers because she also adds 3/4 cup of unsweetened applesauce. I think that adds a nice texture, and it reduces the amount of oil needed for the cake. So you have a light cake instead of a heavy, oily cake. So now we're going to mix this together, and the other thing I like about this recipe is we don't need any beaters. We just mix everything by hand. It's great. So we're going to mix this until it's nice and smooth. Go ahead and use my whisk to break up any of the lumps from the brown sugars. Now we add our room temperature eggs, 1 at a time. And make sure they're room temperature. If you forget to put them out, you can always temper them in a little bit of lukewarm water for about 10 minutes. So we're going to add 1 at a time until they're fully incorporated. Finally, we're going to do 1½ teaspoons of vanilla, pure vanilla extract. So there's 1½ Okay, now we're going to alternate our dry ingredients with our carrots. So we'll put a little bit of dry in here, and you don't want to put too much at one time. The idea is to slowly incorporate it so that it's a good batter. If you put it in all at once, it doesn't hydrate properly, and you get a tough cake. Conversely, you don't want to overmix. Okay, I have about 2½ cups of shredded carrot, and you want to shred it yourself. Get fresh carrots and shred them yourself. Don't buy the ones that are already shredded because they're like matchsticks and they're just way too thick. You won't like the texture. Okay. Smell all those wonderful spices. This is enough batter for 3 9-inch cake pans. You want to mix it just until you don't see any more bits of flour. Okay. Now's the time to put our add-ins, and I'm going to add raisins and pecans. And what I like to do ahead of time is I like to just mix it with a little bit of flour. About a tablespoon or so. And that keeps the fruit and the nuts from sinking to the bottom. Okay, so we're going to put that in. And now we're ready to fill our cake pans. So I'm ready to assemble my cake, and I just like to take a little bit of oil, put it around the cake pan, set in my parchment paper, and then a little bit of oil on that as well. We want a real easy release for this cake. And that's just giving us some added insurance. Okay. So we can eyeball it or scale it. I'm going to go ahead and eyeball it. Okay, I'm going to make 3 layers, so I only have 2 pans. I'm going to cook these first. These are going in a preheated 350 oven for about 20 to 25 minutes, or until a toothpick inserted comes out clean. So here we go. Okay, once my cake is done, I cool it in the pan about 10 minutes, and then I want to run around the rim, and then I can flip it out. Look how perfect that is. And that's why you want to put the parchment paper on, because it's super easy release. Just perfect. Okay, so here is my finished cake. It was late last night. I didn't end up finishing my decorating until after dinner. Didn't feel like filming, but I did put this in the freezer and allowed it to freeze overnight. It's nice and firm, so now I'm going to go ahead and wrap it. And we're going to start with some plastic wrap first. I made enough cream cheese frosting to make pumpkin rolls, so I'm going to be doing that as well because they freeze really well for the holidays. So make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, and you'll get notification when I'm ready to do that. Pumpkin rolls was one of my mother's favorite things to make, and she would make half a dozen of them, and then give them out as gifts for the holidays. So whenever I make pumpkin roll, I always think of my mother. All right, so here we go. Now we're gonna wrap it again in foil, and this just keeps all the air out. We don't want air, is our enemy in the freezer. We don't want any air. Perfect. Perfect. Now I'm just going to mark it. Let's see. Carrot cake. And then, before the holidays, the day of, I just take it out of the freezer, let it come to room temp, and it's going to be perfect. Thanks for watching. Ciao.